Scraps have been one of my favorite decks to play in the past year with the release of the Scrap Raptor card and the somewhat recent Scrap Wyvern. Two of those cards are very powerful. Raptor being able to search out any of your Scrap monsters, and then again with the Scrap Wyvern, instead it summons out a Scrap monster from your deck and then pops a card. So there's a lot of cool things about Scraps, but mainly it's the fact that you can summon out your Scrap Recycler or your Scrap Golem and then keep using their effects with all of your Scrap support. And being able to summon Scrap Dragon and Scrap Twin Dragon in the year of 2022 is just so nostalgic, especially for someone that has played the game when the Duelist Revolution set came out. And yeah, let's just get into the deck profile and I'll kind of talk about it and show you kind of some replays as I'm going into the deck. So the deck looks pretty crazy. You're gonna be like, what the hell is this? What is this nonsense? Yes, there's a lot of cards in here. You're gonna see so many different cool cards, and it's also 50 cards, by the way. There's a lot of things to fit in this deck. So let's get on to like the scrap cards and like the main focus of the deck, and then I'll go into the more kind of weird things in this deck. So what the deck is focusing around is basically you're going to be summoning Scrap Recycler at least 5 to 6 times during your turn, and the effect of Scrap Recycler being able to send a machine monster from your deck to the graveyard is very good. So I'm pairing this up with a lot of the machine monsters that have effects in the graveyard, stuff like the Mechaphan Beast Olion, the Kriston Rosenix, the Jet Synchron, and the Gizmek Orochi. All of these cards are very good to send to the graveyard, but the most important card and something that is very weird in the deck that you wouldn't expect in this scrap deck is the World Legacy World Crown. Now the reason why I send this card to the graveyard, well, because one, this card is decent to draw in your hand because you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position to a zone that your link monster points to, but that's not really important. The main goal for you to get this card in the graveyard is to get out the Lib Link monster. This card is very powerful, being able to set a World Legacy spell and trap card directly from your deck, and then you can activate it. Something like the World Legacy Succession is just very powerful, being able to special summon back like the Golem or the Recycler. But basically if you have Golem, you're gonna summon out the Golem, and then Golem is going to summon out the Recycler, and that is very powerful. So basically I'm just trying to summon out so many different monsters in one turn, and then go for OTK, go for stuff like Access Code Talker, go for Apollosa going first, go for stuff like the IP Masquerena, into stuff like the Underworld Goddess or the Nightmare Unicorn. So that's pretty much the goal of this deck. And I also have the Scrap Dragon and the Scrap Twin Dragon. I tried to play the Atomic Dragon, but it rarely comes up. It literally just rarely comes up. But these two are very good because the Scrap Raptor is a level 4 tuner. So paired with the level 4 Scrap Chimera, you can make the Scrap Dragon, and paired with the Scrap Golem, you can make the Scrap Twin Dragon. So that is really powerful about this deck, is that you don't really have to go into all of these link monsters. You don't have to go into Cerberus, you don't have to go into Phoenix. You can just go into the classic Scrap Dragon or Scrap Twin Dragon to remove your opponent's cards off of their board. So obviously you're gonna play the 3 Scrap Raptor. This is insane, this is powerful. Being able to search out any of your scrap monsters and then normal summon that monster is just really good. And then you have all the searcher stuff for it, like the Fossil did, and you have the Scrap Yard. And as you see, I do play other targets other than the Scrap Raptor for the Scrap Yard and the Fossil Dig. So for the other targets, I'm playing Gillosaurus. That is just a body you can special summon onto the board. And the Scrap Goblin is a tuner scrap monster that you can get to. So if you don't have like a scrap monster, but you have like a danger and a tuner monster, you can pretty much summon out the danger, summon out the tuner monster, and then go into Hyco Fibrex, and then Hyco Fibrex will get into your Scrap Golem, and that'll give you access to your Scrap Wyvern, which will go into all of your scrap combos. So that is why I played the Scrap Golem. It's just really good for that. And then for the other engines I'm playing in the deck is the Dangers. Dangers are very, very good in this deck because if you don't know, I'm blinding second. So being able to just throw out your Dangers and bait out Disruption from your opponent and go into stuff like the Nightmares, just climb into like Nightmare Cerberus if they have monsters, and then go into Unicorn, try to spin something, and then at that point you can normal summon your Scrap Raptor and pretty much go off, go into your combo, and pretty much wrap the game, because something like Scrap Raptor being able to pop a card, and then you go into all of your Scrap Golems and your Scrap Wyvern effects, you dump all these tuners to the graveyard, and you summon, you know, the Gizmak, and then you just go all around the place with this deck. So the Dangers really help not only getting bodies on the board, but it also draws you cards, which can draw you into your good cards like your Fossil Dig, into your Scrap Raptor or your Scrap Recycler, which is like really, really good. And then the last part about the deck is, well, before that, Scrap Factory is insane in combination with the Scrap Wyvern and the Scrap Raptor. The Scrap Factory is really good in combination with the Raptor because you can pretty much play around Nibiru, because you can go Scrap Raptor, uses effect Destroy, and then the factory will trigger. You're going to summon out the Scrap Golem. Scrap Golem will summon out the Raptor. Raptor will be good in combination with the Golem because you can go into the Crystal and Alka-Fibrax, and then Alka-Fibrax can summon out the tuners that can summon itself back onto the board, and then you can basically climb into the Apollousa, which can negate the Nibiru. If they just Nibiru, it doesn't matter. You just normal summon your Recycler, and then the Recycler is just basically full combo. And then even if they have that Nibiru on field, you could just pop it with the effect of the Scrap Wyvern, so they won't have that 3k body for them to use. And you also have a token that you can use for link material, so that is really, really good with these Scrap Factories, and that is why this card is like very, very powerful for the deck. And then the last part of the deck is pretty much just going second cards. There's been a lot of back row decks that I've been playing against, so I'm not really playing hand drops like that. So like Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Droplets is really good as just like one card to deal with like monster effects, and then like Twin Twister is like really good. I think moving forward, if I'm playing against more Drytron decks, or I'm playing against more of the other combo decks like Adamantimators and Virtual World, then I'll play stuff like Maxi and Ash Blossom and Nibiru and Impermanence and Valor, because then I'm gonna have to need it for those insane combo decks that you can't really deal with going second. But as you see, I have like pretty much like 12, maybe even more flex spots to even deal with cards going second. And then I obviously have the Scrap engine that can pretty much break through a board entirely. So this deck is like pretty powerful. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot to go with the deck. Let's talk about more about the extra deck. Scrap Dragon, Scrap Wyvern, or Scrap Twin Dragon I already went into with those, and also Scrap Wyvern, just really powerful card. But the other cards like Borolo Dragon it's pretty decent. It's just a way to get over a monster or like take a monster. Same thing with like Underworld Goddess. I could pretty much use their unaffected monster as link material, because Underworld Goddess, it doesn't really affect the monster. It's just like using it as material as the opponent would use it as link material, if that makes sense. So Underworld Goddess is really good for outing like big monsters that can't be affected by card effects, so that's really good. And then just the other cards like the Nightmare Cerberus, Phoenix, etc., just to get over monsters and like remove their cards and stuff like that. And then Access Kotar to wrap up the game. So this is pretty much the deck. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of combos with the deck. There's not like a straightforward combo. All you have to do is just go Scrap Raptor into Scrap Recycler, go Wyvern. Wyvern will summon out the Scrap Golem. Golem will summon out the Recycler. Recycler will send World Legacy World Crown. That will give you access to the Lib. And then Lib will basically, it will summon out the Scrap Golem from your graveyard, then it'll summon out your Recycler from the graveyard, and then that'll use the effect to send, and then you can go on from there, whatever you need to. You can go for like IP Masquerena, as I said before, going first into Apollousa, or Nightmare Phoenix, or Underworld Goddess. You can go for Nightmare Phoenix into Cerberus, and the Unicorn into Access Code to pretty much get rid of all of their cards. You can go to Scrap Dragon, Scrap Twin Dragon to also remove their cards. So it's pretty straightforward. You just break into your opponent's board with all of these cards that destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field, and you're just wrapping it up. I think it's pretty fun. It's just different than the standard, like, go first, set up your board turn 1, and then haha, I win because I can negate all my opponent's cards like dry turn does. I think it's just more fun to like go second, try to destroy your opponent by just smashing them with scrap monsters and throwing down these powerful cards like lightning storm and droplets to kind of stop your opponent. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully this was something to enlighten you on something that is kind of new and different from the standard, you know, Phantom Knights or Adamanticators or Virtual World or Drytron or Eldritch. You know, this is something cool, interesting, and pretty enjoyable if you like some fun. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more replays and stuff like that, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be going over this deck more in depth when I play more of this, because I am in Platinum 5. I'm trying to get to Platinum 1 so I can say that this deck is pretty valid as a archetype, because before Platinum, there's not really any of a challenge. It just basically says your deck has a strategy and your strategy kind of works. But the Platinum 1 really tells you if a deck is really good or not. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I am out. Peace.